The Nintendo Switch was, well, is a phenomenon. When it first dropped in 2017, the excitement was immeasurable, and in my opinion, it was warranted. A handheld console that could play full AAA titles, kinda, and could instantly dock on your TV too? I mean, think about it. At the time, I was using a 3DS on the go, and this thing when I was at home. And for the most part, they had two completely different libraries. So it wasn't like I could stop playing on the Wii U and then continue it on my commute to school via the 3DS. The only exception I'm aware of was Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, one of my favorite games of all time. They had this data transfer tool you could download for free on the 3DS eShop. Rest in peace. But the fact that the Switch didn't need a data transfer app, I didn't need to pause, I didn't need to save, I could just get up, grab my console from my TV, and head out for the day. That was enough to justify the purchase for me. And on top of that, they were releasing a brand new Legend of Zelda game too. Like, come on. I mean, the last mainline Zelda game we got was Skyward Sword in 2011. Side note, I actually wasn't able to get a Switch at launch. There were mega supply shortages, and even online purchases were delayed for months at a time. So, I ended up playing Breath of the Wild on Wii U before I got my hands on the Switch, which was not the best way to enjoy the game. All it did was make me want to Switch even more. Anyway, for years, the Switch dominated the market. It outsold the Wii. It outsold the PlayStation. It outsold my expectations for how long Nintendo could delay offering proper Joy-Con drift fixes. Legitimately, there were already rumors of a new next-gen Switch on the internet before Nintendo even addressed fixing the Joy-Con drift for people. Which brings me to the rumors. The internet started buzzing around 2019. A Switch Pro, a Super Switch, a Switch, but with actual graphics that could play Witcher 3 at more than 20 FPS. Every Nintendo Direct became a sea of expectation and speculation, followed by nothing. But finally, in 2021, the Switch OLED. The Switch 2 that wasn't. The bait and switch of the decade. Please laugh. The world begged for... Nintendo gave us a pretty screen and a white dock. Fast forward 4 years though, and in January 2025, we finally got it. Nintendo officially announced the Switch 2. Anyway, alongside their new console, Mario Kart World, a new entry into the Mario Kart series that is somehow open world? This was the moment. A new console, a new Mario Kart, a new era, and I needed it. And this time, I was getting it at launch, one way or another. Unfortunately, I was not able to pre-order the console. So you know what that means. It means that I stepped onto a line outside Best Buy at 7 p.m. and waited for 6 hours while hopped up on Dr. Pepper and Cheez-Its. And when I finally got inside, I walked past Mario Kart World, I walked past Breath of the Wild Switch 2 Edition, I walked past Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 Edition. I paused for a second to consider Puyo Puyo Tetris. And then I walked by every other shiny new game on the shelf, and I bought Street Fighter VI Year 1 and 2 Edition, a port of a game I've never played from a franchise I haven't touched in over 10 years. And here's why. Our story begins in 2011. I was bedridden and dying like the seventh-born child of an American colonial family. Sick with Lyme disease, a sinus infection, and mono, the kissing disease. The worst part of it was, I still hadn't had my first kiss. So it wasn't even worth it. I'd gotten sick from a dirty cup at a diner or some shit. Anyway, as I lay there, suffering, my mother timidly entered my darkened room. Hey, I got this for you because you got bitten by a tick and got extra sick from a dirty cup at a diner, and also because you still haven't had your first kiss, or something. But then she handed me the Nintendo 3DS. It had only been out a few weeks at this point. Along with it, she gave me 2 launch titles, Steel Diver and 3D Edition. Yeah, Steel Diver didn't see much playtime. If you know, you know. Now, this was my first ever foray into the Street Fighter series. Up until this point, my only real experience with arcade-style fighters was Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe on the Xbox 360, which I was very bad at. Nonetheless, I was excited to try out Are we gonna do that every time I say it? Anyway, I was excited to try out the game because they made the box all cool looking. And I don't know if it's because I had a 103-degree fever, 39.4 degrees Celsius for the rest of the world, but I loved it. Even though I wasn't a die-hard fan of fighting games, something about this one just clicked. What I didn't know at the time, because I had never played a Street Fighter game, was that Sorry, I forgot that happens. As I was saying, what I didn't know at the time was that the game that we're discussing, henceforth referred to as SSFF 3DE, wasn't some original handheld entry in the franchise. It wasn't a offshoot or a spin-off. It was actually a port, a full port of the PlayStation 3 version of the game. The thing is, though, they didn't just port it. They completely redesigned it intentionally to work for the handheld experience. Like, they knew people like me, kids who had never really played a fighting game before, were going to pick this up, and they knew the device we would be playing on wasn't strictly designed for this type of game. Oh hey, that's better. So they added a whole bunch of features to augment the experience and make it enjoyable. The biggest thing they implemented was touchscreen combo buttons. So you could throw out a Hadouken or Ultra combo with the tap of a finger, even if you had no idea how to actually input it manually, like me. They also added dynamic mode, which instead of looking at a standard 2D fighter game, shifted the camera to a third-person over-the-shoulder view that made the fights feel more immersive and a little bit more cinematic. This was also the first game to implement two control schemes, Light and Pro. Overall, they made sure every feature from the console version remained intact. They had the arcade mode, standard versus mode, challenge trials, and online multiplayer. And on top of having everything the PlayStation 3 version had to offer, they added in a couple new game modes too, like 3D Versus, which was designed to showcase the dynamic camera mode, and Figure Collection, which was designed to work with the Street Pass feature of the 3DS. It was sort of like a precursor to the Super Smash Bros. Amiibo, where you could train a figurine and then use it to fight other people that you passed on the street. The whole design philosophy was accessibility. Capcom wanted this to be a full Street Fighter game, and a version of Street Fighter that anyone could play, and I was anyone. And those choices, those intentional simplifications, the streamlined control scheme, and some unique visuals. Wait, no, not that. I'm talking about dynamic mode. Anyway, those choices, they worked, because even though I'd never played a Street Fighter game before, even though I had no clue who Cody was, or why Seth looked like a chromed Mr. Clean on Tren, even though I was getting absolutely cooked in online matches by what was most likely grown men who had been playing the game for 20 years, I really liked the game, and I still do. Let me be clear. As far as fighting games are concerned, it was the 3DS, so they were incredibly limited in terms of graphics and performance. So there are plenty of visual glitches, and there's basically no facial expression, and there was zero attempt at lip syncing.
I hope you're ready for a beating.
But they did the best they could, and the result was a solid entry-level Street Fighter game. They built this version of Street Fighter with the intent to make it approachable, yet kept enough of the complexity of a real fighter game to show me what I could become if I put in the time and effort. In the end, I didn't master the game. I didn't even really get good, but that didn't matter. I had fun playing regardless, and when you're lying in bed, dripping in fever sweat and trying not to suffocate on your own sinuses, anything that kept me entertained was a win, even if I kept getting my ass whooped. And that's why, 14 years later, when I saw Street Fighter 6 sitting on that Switch 2 launch shelf, I didn't hesitate. I didn't even think. I just grabbed it. Not because I'm good at sorry, I forgot. Again, I bought it because the last time Street Fighter was a launch title for a Nintendo console, it completely caught me off guard and I fell in love with it. And not because I understood it well, but because it was made with an understanding of me. Because it made space in a tough and often unapproachable genre for someone who was young and sick and clueless and just wanted to press a few buttons and feel something other than miserable. So even if I hate this one, even if it's significantly harder without touchscreen shortcuts, even if I get stomped online and drop it after a week out of frustration, even though it's just a port of a game that's already been out for 2 years, it doesn't matter. Because the kid who played SSFF 3DE, you thought I was gonna say Anyway, because the kid who played SSFF 3DE, while looking like a Victorian orphan with tuberculosis, saw that box on the shelf and got excited. And that alone made it worth it. I didn't buy Street Fighter 6 because I'm good at fighters now, or because I'm a huge Street Fighter fan now. I bought it because a part of me remembered how good it felt the last time. And now, every time I look at my shelf and see those boxes sitting next to one another, I'm reminded of the fact that I still haven't had my first kiss. Also, Steel Diver Switch 2 version? When, Nintendo? JK. If you were hoping I'd tell you what Street Fighter 6 is like on the Switch 2, to be honest, I don't really know, man. So far, I've gotten as far as character creation. To be clear, I bought this game for the sake of nostalgia, not the gameplay. I haven't touched an arcade fighter since Super Street Fighter 4. And yet, I needed to buy this game, because unfortunately, my finances are governed not by logic or restraint, but by the impulsive whims of my inner child. If I do actually end up playing it for real though, and you would like me to go over how the game plays on Switch 2, let me know below. I wouldn't mind talking about whether it tickles the same itch it did 14 years ago. Anyway, thanks for watching the video until the end. As a reward, you will be my first kiss. If you like this video, click the like and subscribe buttons below. And if you ever bought a video game purely to satisfy your inner child, tell me about it in the comments. I genuinely want to hear your stories, because I need to know I'm not the only one out here being financially reckless just because I am emotional. Anywho, I'm gonna go write another essay. But first, I'm gonna finish making my character in Street Fighter 6. See you real soon.